Hey guys, what's going on? It's the Flick Critic here. So I know I said I'd be doing the Spider-Man Trilogy Blu-ray review. However, I wanted to take a look at Spider-Man 2 to make sure that I really did take a really good close at its picture quality, because I'm not sure I was paying too much attention to it. But anyways, let's get on with our Blu-ray review of Apollo 13, the 20th Anniversary Edition. Now this is the second Blu-ray release of Apollo 13. The other was 5 years ago and was the 15th Anniversary Edition. But this has apparently been remastered again with a better transfer and is supposed to be very, very good. Starting off with the packaging, we can see that there is Apollo 13, which is actually embossed on the slipcover, as well as a cool picture of the moon, the shuttle that they were in, as well as the Earth, and the moon is also embossed. There is also a bunch of actors that worked on this film, as well as one of the most famous space quotes ever said. Over on the back of the slipcover, you can see that there's a sort of title saying that this is remastered from the 35mm prints. There's also a short synopsis of the movie, as well as some of the bonus or special features that you're going to be getting on this Blu-ray release. Outside of the slipcover, you can see that this Blu-ray case is pretty much the same thing. However, it does not have this great picture of Tom Hanks on the back. Anyways, there isn't too much to talk about on the Blu-ray case outside, since we've already talked about it on the slipcover, so let's just take a look inside. Over on the inside, there are two notable things. The first is the digital HD code, which, interestingly enough, you can both get it from Ultraviolet and iTunes, so you can redeem it for your Ultraviolet account as well as your iTunes account, so you can get it digitally two ways. Don't worry about taking that code. I have redeemed it already. There's also the Blu-ray disc of Apollo 13, which has a very, very minimalistic black look, which, you know what, I don't really have too much of a problem with it, because it doesn't need to be all flashy, and it looks nice the way it is. For the packaging of this Blu-ray, I'm going to be giving this Blu-ray release a 5 out of 5. The slipcover is solid, the Blu-ray case itself is solid, and everything just feels like a good Blu-ray. So we're going to move over onto content. As you can see on the back of the slipcover and Blu-ray, you can see that it says that it is digitally remastered and fully restored from the original 35mm film elements. This basically means that they actually went back to the film that this movie was shot on and actually did a new digital transfer to make it look much, much better. For the content, this Apollo 13 Blu-ray release is flawless. It looks amazing and sounds amazing as well. Did not own the 15th Anniversary Edition, but I did hear that there were many, many complaints about the picture quality of that Blu-ray release. However, I'm glad to say that this is a really, truly well done remaster, as this really is the best this movie will ever look on home video. Everything is very, very crisp, but it still has a certain softness, as though you're watching it on actual film print. The audio is also very, very good, and I can hear everything, and that's especially important with this movie, as there is a lot of important dialogue scenes. So for the content portion of this Blu-ray, I'm going to be giving it a 5 out of 5. Over onto the special features, you can see that there are many different bonus features, as well as an additional one 20 years later, which is essentially the director Ron Howard and the producer Brian Grazer talking about the history of this movie. The special features that are on this Blu-ray disc are pretty good, but some of them just aren't too interesting, and in fact, some of them just don't have anything to do with the movie, but more about to do with the actual mission. Now, as interesting as I find this actual event to be, I do have to have a problem with it doesn't really show too much of how this movie was actually made. And so for that reason, I'm going to be giving this Blu-ray release a 4.5 out of 5 for special features. It still has a good amount, except some of them just aren't too much about the movie, but more about the mission itself, which really shouldn't be that big of a deal, but, you know, I prefer to see how the movie itself was made. However, this is where things get much better, my actual review of this movie. Now, this movie is really, really important to me for a couple of reasons. First of all, I saw this movie when I think I was around 5 or 6 or something around that age. Now, at this point, I was completely engrossed in the idea of getting into space and, space travel. So this movie really felt like I was in space, and because of that, I watched this on the DVR so many times, and when it finally got deleted, I was searching for it every single time. So this movie's a bit nostalgic for me. But since I've watched this Blu-ray, I have to say that this movie has held up incredibly well. Some of the special effects are not as up to par for today's standards, but that has to be expected, as said on the cover of this Blu-ray, this movie is now 20 years old. You can't expect the special effects to be up to par for special effects that are going to be coming out 20 years later. But anyways, this movie has a really good way of building tension and really making you wonder, how did these guys really come back home? In addition to this, there are a bunch of really good performances. Most notably, it's from Tom Hanks, who of course delivers one of his most emotional performances to date. It also has Kevin Bacon, Bill Paxton, both of which are pretty fun to watch, and I love having them in this movie, as well as Gary Sinise and Ed Harris. Overall, for this movie, I have to give it a 5 out of 5. It's just amazing because when you research all of this, you see that this movie is not actually too far off in terms of its actual accuracy. It's amazing to see that this actually happened, and so I really do think that this is a flawless movie. For my overall score of this Blu-ray, it's going to be a 4.9 out of 5. This is one of the best Blu-rays you're going to be able to buy, and you should definitely pick this one up. Anyways, that's all for right now. Next coming up is definitely the Spider-Man trilogy on Blu-ray. Thanks everyone for watching. Please subscribe, and peace out.